Is it a good idea for Elizabeth Warren to play identity politics and propose that half of her cabinet will be women no matter what? That's what I'm speaking about today on the Lenses That Liberate podcast. Hey friends, Derek here again, and let's get right into it. So as many of you know who've been listening along, I've been challenging myself recently to watch as much Fox News and right-wing media as I would liberal media. And for the last 4 or 5 years, I've probably watched between an hour and 3 hours a day of political commentary, so I've been getting my feet wet with this. So without further ado, I'll play a clip from Fox News and Tucker Carlson's show where he has Dave Rubin on from the Rubin Report, and they're speaking about Elizabeth Warren's recent proposal to staff half of her cabinet with either women or non-binary identifying people. So let's take a listen.
Elizabeth Warren also made another promise about how she will govern if elected. In a recent blog post, she said that as president, she'll appoint a cabinet that, quote, reflects the full diversity of America, including having at least 50% of cabinet positions filled by women and non-binary people. What exactly is a non-binary person?
So first of all, I think it's a little disingenuous of Tucker Carlson there to either act like he doesn't know what a non-binary person is, or to spend a few minutes before the show and ask one of his staffers what is a non-binary person.
Does America have enough non-binary people to staff half a cabinet? And by the way, more to the point, how is being non-binary a qualification to run a federal agency? Dave Rubin hosts the Rubin Report on YouTube. He joins us to unravel these mysteries. Dave, thanks so much for coming on. That's kind of the core question. What does being non-binary have to do with running a federal agency?
Well, first off, Tucker, this is the first time I've ever been brought in as a non-binary expert, so I appreciate that. Look, all of this
I don't even know.
so
I'm afraid to
indicative.
ask what it means, but yes.
It doesn't even matter.
So before we go any further there, clearly they're going to be losing a lot of an open audience there to say it doesn't even matter. Because for lots of people who are non-binary, even if they're a very small percentage of the population, it does matter. And if you're wanting a fair and balanced conversation, as Fox News are claiming they do, then you're immediately going to lose some of the population in that.
Suffice to say that all of this is exactly what's wrong with almost every progressive idea that's put out there. Like canceling all student debt, you then hurt the people who paid off their debt or who acted responsibility.
Right.
Hiring 50% women or non-binary or minorities or this color or that color, it all kind of sounds right, but here's the catch, and this happens with every progressive idea. You just have to think about it for about 3 seconds. And then once you think about it, you realize, oh, well, if we're going to have diversity hires of this type or that type, well, that means you intentionally must discriminate against someone else by the basis of their gender or sexuality or skin color. Now, the reason Elizabeth Warren doesn't care is because she thinks she can hold together some sort of coalition of basically non-white Christian people, so she can always sort of stick it to them, something to that effect.
Okay, so let's break this down. So what Dave Rubin is saying there, essentially, I really agree with. Elizabeth Warren is playing identity politics when she's saying her strong intention is to have an equal amount of women and men on her cabinet. That is identity politics. And I think he's right about that. She's pandering to a certain amount of her base there by doing that, even though she knows it's going to alienate some other people, which is a very common thing, obviously, for politicians to do.
And I think it's a really poor strategy, and we just have to show people the one idea that works, and that has always worked in America. If you work hard and you're a good person, nobody cares whether you're non-binary, whether you're binary, whether you're a man or a woman.
So I think that's quite a fanciful thing for Dave Rubin to say, and for Tucker to agree with him. It may be true at this time in modern America that there is the least amount of discrimination between the sexes based on race or any other factor, but to claim there that historically America has always based an equality like that is just not true. Throughout American history and throughout recorded human history, there is no doubt that women have been discriminated against, have been second-class citizens throughout that time. So I can empathize with what Elizabeth Warren is trying to do. She's trying to say, I'm not going to discriminate against women here, and they're going to be given equal opportunity. But like many of these arguments, they become quite polarized. They go too far in one particular way. So in this sense, you have Fox News asserting that America has always been about equal rights, and at the same time, you have Elizabeth Warren, because of the discrimination of women, playing identity politics. And actually, Fox News is right in a certain way. She is discriminating by sex to compensate for the past pain of that. So in this case, it would have been nice if Elizabeth Warren had been able to come out and say something like, throughout our American history, women and the LGBTQ communities have been really discriminated against. And in my cabinet, that will not be the case. And whether that means I have 10 women and 2 men, or 2 women and 10 men, my choices will not be based on that discrimination. Because I think that's the point she's trying to make. But as Dave Rubin had said, she is pandering to her base in the way that she's doing it. And it probably sounds a bit off to a lot of people who are looking to move beyond identity politics.